Welcome to the For Listeners program. Welcome aboard, everybody. Thanks for checking us out this week. What up, everybody? I'm Spear. On the mics this week is the Z-Man. What is up, Z?
Bad boys, bad boys. Oh, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys, bad boys.
That's it?
That's it.
That's where we stop? I feel like I got blue balls there.
Yeah, you didn't finish us.
Shit. On the other mic is the triumphant return of the mighty Gantor. What is up, Gantor?
Hey, I had a pretty good football weekend.
Yeah?
How'd yours go?
Not particularly well.
What happened?
My beloved G-Man can't play offense. Is what the problem is. And he can't play defense either. Come to that.
Impressive comeback from the Eagles.
I don't know how impressive it was. They were playing the Jacksonville Jaguars, so let's not get carried away.
Well, they shouldn't have been down that far to begin with.
Well,
that's
right.
That might have been the better comment.
Right. While we're on the topic of football this week, something must be done about Ray fucking Rice. Let's start with the facts of the case. On February 15th, Ray Rice and his then-fiancée Janae Palmer were arrested and charged with simple assault at the Revel Casino in Atlantic City. About a week later, or maybe half a week later, on February 19th, TMZ releases a video of Ray Rice dragging Janae Palmer's body out of a casino elevator unconscious. On March 27th, Rice is indicted by a grand jury in New Jersey on a charge of third-degree aggravated assault. The next day after the assault charge, Ray Rice and Janae Palmer get married. On May 20th, Rice is accepted into a pretrial program and avoids prosecution. So he does this pretrial diversion program that allows him to avoid prosecution on the assault charge. Either way, on July 27th, the NFL announces a 2-game suspension for Ray Rice starting August 30th. And by this point, people are catching wind of the fact that the suspension was only for 2 games, and there's a phenomenal backlash.
People were mad because it wasn't enough.
It wasn't enough. And this all happened in the weeks leading up to this week. TMZ, who released the original footage of Rice dragging his then-fiancée out of the elevator unconscious, releases the beginning of that video where we find out how she got unconscious. Have you guys seen this video?
Yeah, it's like they had a little scuffle before they got in the elevator. He gets up. She says something to him that causes him to slap her. She then pushes him back, and then he just like cold cocks her. She was probably unconscious before she even hit the wall, and then she just destroys her head against the handrail of the elevator.
Yeah. Now,
all of this is crazy, but the thing that actually got us choosing this as our article for this, or our topic for this evening, was that Janae is defending him today.
Yep.
When this came out, saying you're ruining media, go away, you're ruining our lives. We woke up and now this is the worst nightmare ever. Because his livelihood is now gone.
Right, because within hours of the video of him knocking his wife out, he was cut from the Baltimore Ravens and
banned from the NFL.
That's right, banned indefinitely, suspended indefinitely from the NFL.
Obviously, there's got to be some sort of prenup in place right here that if he loses all this, she loses it all too, and if she divorces him, she gets nothing as well. So she has to stay with him. It's the only explanation here, right?
It's not the only explanation.
It's. I gotta assume it's the most likely explanation.
We're not smart enough to talk about the psychology of why battered women stay with their abusers.
The whole Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah, we're not smart enough to even remotely touch the psychology of it.
But hold on, so go back to this whole thing. The whole thing happened when she was engaged, and then she still ends up getting married.
The day after the assault charges were filed.
She filed the assault charges? Or the state did it on her behalf?
Well, the state did it on her behalf. In fact, the state prosecuted despite the fact that she didn't want to press charges.
Right, and they do that. That's just how that works.
Right.
Because I'm sure she just wants this all to go away and nobody to know about it because, again, she probably has a financial incentive or at least a better quality of life.
Well, they wouldn't have done that without the video, but if it was just her word, like her complaint or whatever, and then his, and then she didn't want to press charges, they probably would have dropped it. But with that video,
well, not even the video, but just the fact that some innocent bystander kind of walked up and became a part of it. They couldn't hide it.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Well, yeah, because what happened was as the elevator opened up, one of the hotel staff saw Ray Rice dragging dragging Janae Rice out of the elevator,
Unconscious, face down.
unconscious, and he and the staff turns around and goes, "She's drunk, right?"
Yeah. Unconsciously drunk.
Right.
I guess at that point you couldn't see the contusions either.
Right. So the video, the video is it's the most damning piece of evidence you get in this whole thing.
We're talking about is like, is there anything that justifies his reaction? I mean, you could kick somebody in the balls 40 times, and that shouldn't be the way you respond.
Just look at what Jay-Z didn't do to, what's her name, Solange.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that he'd be justified there, but she was kicking the shit out of him, and he didn't do anything. I'm just saying, you can't justify knocking somebody out like that.
Yeah, that video says it all, right? They say a picture speaks 1,000 words. That video
It's a million.
it's unbelievable. And the first video said enough.
Yeah.
Right? The big brouhaha here has been with the NFL and the Baltimore Ravens, that they didn't react to what they knew. Let's put it that way.
I don't think they watched it. I think they just got the story, okay, you hit her, charges filed, all right, 2-game suspension, not thinking anything more, like not thinking people would care or whatever. Do you get what I mean? And then when the video finally leaks and then they realize, oh shit, because you can't backpedal that because it's been so long, right? Like he's already been punished.
Right,
how can you go back? How can you go back and revise your punishment, what you've doled out, if you had seen the video?
Well, right. So the NFL's whole defense for not giving more than the 2-game suspension was the fact that they didn't see that second video with the punch.
Right, and they said that it was considered mutual combat. That's what that's what I have here.
See, that's what my opinion is. Ray Rice and the woman or whatever described what happened to the NFL, and they're just not sugarcoating it, but what do they do with politicians or whatever, where it's like blah blah, do your community service.
They wanted to
sweep no contest or whatever.
Sweep that shit under the rug.
Blow over
right.
2 games, everybody will forget about it.
Right, sweep that shit under the rug because that's worked before for us in the past.
Right.
Murderers and dogfighters and other domestic violence.
Well, I mean, there's a history, and we'll get into this in a little bit, but there's a history of NFL players getting into scraps with the law and then getting basically a slap on the wrist.
Yeah.
Well, that's not exclusive to NFL players or stars. It's true of any celebrity or financially endowed person.
Right. So just hang on to that thought. We'll come back to that one in just a minute. But first, so let me ask you guys this: should Roger Goodell have reacted any differently to what he knew about the situation between Ray Rice and Janae Rice and given more than a 2-game suspension, or was he right to let the due process take its course?
He should have looked at the damn video and done an actual investigation. I mean, you're a multi-billion-dollar industry and you get blindsided by TMZ?
Right. And if the news reports are true that the NFL never asked for the video, then you got to ask, what the fuck? What the fuck?
Right. Yeah.
Right. You shouldn't have even had to have asked. You could have gone
clear
to
where your priorities are.
Right. You could have done the same dirty investigations that TMZ is doing. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Failing that, if you had the evidence that Ray Rice was dragging his fiancée out unconscious, and you had the police report, and you had the charges that were filed, how is a 2-game suspension even remotely close to being enough?
Right, which is less than, is it less than what you get for a drug violation?
No, drug is 4 weeks.
So Josh Gordon got a year suspension for smoking pot.
I thought it was 4 weeks.
Nope. He got a year.
6 weeks. I thought it was 6 weeks.
He got a year. I think he got 4 weeks last season, and I think he got a year this season for being a repeat offender.
Wes Welker got 4 weeks or 6 weeks for being roofied at the Kentucky Derby.
He got four for being mollied at the at the Kentucky Derby. So here's a guy who took amphetamines, got 4 games. Here's a guy who smoked some pot on more than one occasion, got a year. Here's a guy
which is not illegal in the entire country now. So
right.
And wasn't one of the owners?
Right. The owner of the Indianapolis Colts
is not even allowed to go to the games or be on the field of the stadium that he owns.
Right. And was suspended for 4 weeks, I think. This guy was charged with domestic violence, regardless of whether or not they saw the video.
You got 2 weeks.
Got 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, the only other shit, you're doing it to yourself. Whatever. This is you physically hurting another person.
Right.
I mean, if he would have done that on the field to another player, he would have gotten more than 2 weeks. To another player in full gear with a helmet on, he would have gotten more than 2 weeks.
That's true. That's true.
He would have been.
You imagine if he cold cocked the ref, he'd be banned for life.
Actually, yeah, that's even a better one. You know, a non-athlete who was in a whatever.
A non-combatant.
Yeah, whatever you said. Yeah, you cold cock. Well, I mean that's like you cold cocking a cop. I mean that's a authority figure, so it's slightly higher penalty.
It shouldn't be different for anybody, but
that's like you cold cocking a cheerleader.
That
would
be completely
just totally
fucked.
just like I hate you, bitch, and just boom, cheerleader on the sideline. Yeah, you're in jail for the rest of your life.
That would be completely fucked. Now, Goodell, to his credit, does turn around and say that he didn't know what was on the videotape before he saw it on Monday, but that he's accountable for, quote, not getting it right. So he gets, I guess now,
he
in
needs
retrospect,
to be fired.
Is that what we're talking about here, though? I mean, there's been a serious call for Goodell to get fired over this.
Well, look at what happened to all the people involved with Penn State and all that stuff for what they allegedly did or didn't do and covered up or didn't cover up or, reported on or didn't report on. A lot of people went down for that. And, I feel like the same thing needs to be done to this guy. He's effectively the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar corporation. And you're going to screw up this badly? Like, your personal honor should be at stake. Like, you should resign voluntarily because, hey, I screwed up. I screwed up badly,
So here's how you can measure the progress of Roger Goodell. On May 13th, mere weeks after this whole thing goes down with Ray Rice, defensive end Greg Hardy for the Carolina Panthers is arrested on 2 misdemeanor charges after he allegedly assaulted and threatened his ex-girlfriend. The story behind this one is insane. In a hotel room, Greg Hardy apparently beat the bejesus out of his ex-girlfriend. The story goes that he chucked her into a bathtub, ripped a necklace off of her neck, chucked it down the toilet, and when she went to go get it, he took the lid and slammed it down on her arm. He picked her up over his head and chucked her down onto a bed filled with guns.
Who has a bed of guns?
I don't know. This guy. Okay?
A bed of nails, but...
All right, this guy. This is mere weeks after the whole Ray Rice thing, and the resolution on this is still pending. In the meantime, Greg Hardy is playing in the National Football League. Had a pretty good game this past Sunday, as did defensive tackle Ray McDonald for the San Francisco 49ers, who was arrested on suspicion of felony domestic violence in San Jose on August 31st, so just a couple of days ago, just a few days ago.
So Spear, where are you getting this data from?
So this is all coming from the NFL Arrests database.
The what?
The NFL Arrests database. It's a collection of all the arrests and citations involving NFL players since the year 2000.
Last month alone, there were 4. Garrett LeBlanc, marijuana. Le'Veon Bell, DUI and marijuana. Alan Branch, DWI. And Ray McDonald,
domestic violence.
Felony domestic violence.
Felony domestic violence.
Yeah. Just in the last month.
Just in the last month. And this goes all the way back to January of 2000, where wide receiver Rod Smith of the Denver Broncos was arrested on misdemeanor charges of, third-degree assault and harassment for allegedly choking and hitting the mother of his 2 children.
Now, these guys' job is to kill the other guy on the other side of the field.
Right.
I mean, that's how do you turn that off?
And it looks like, in many cases, most can't. In February of 2000, linebacker Steve Foley arrested on domestic violence in Monroe, Louisiana. Running back Mario Bates, March of 2000, domestic violence assault on girlfriend, pleaded guilty, misdemeanor, received a 1-game suspension. April 2000, Mark Chamorro, charged with sexually assaulting his children's 17-year-old babysitter during a drunken prom party.
17-year-old babysitter?
Uh-huh.
So this girl's not even fucking him.
Yep. Leon Searcy, in May of 2001, arrested on a misdemeanor domestic violence charge. NFL suspended 1 game, and he attended a pretrial diversion program. Victor Riley, Offensive tackle for Kansas City, charged with felony counts of aggravated assault and criminal damage to property, misdemeanors of child endangerment, and leaving the scene of an accident. He allegedly rammed his vehicle several times into a vehicle occupied by his wife and infant daughter. The NFL suspended him 1 game, and he pleaded guilty to aggravated assault and received counseling. I mean, the list goes on and on about the precedent for domestic violence in the National Football League. And I agree with you, Z. It's tough to turn that off, but there is absolutely no place ever for that kind of a thing. And the NFL has to get tough because they clearly haven't shown the ability to do so over the course of the last 15 years. I mean, Gantor, there's a sense of entitlement, I think, that comes with being a professional athlete that feeds into all of this.
Well, sure, you've been built up and praised and seduced and also whatever you want to think of ever since high school. Year after year, you're the best, you're the greatest, you're unstoppable, you're perfect, you can do no wrong. Let me help you with your grades, let me get you out of that trouble you got in with that girl you went on that date the other, like all this stuff their whole entire life because they're going to be a star. And then you get on this national stage where the nation's eyes are on you, and all of a sudden some of that stuff can't be covered up or quieted down. And
you need a cleaner. Need the cleaner.
You need the wolf.
Yeah.
Problem is the wolf ain't going to help you when fucking TMZ is lurking around.
Yeah.
So I feel like the NFL, Goodell in this case, is a guy in New York City cheating on his wife. You know, he's at his fiance's house or, you know, hotel or apartment or whatever, banging all day on September 11th. The wife's calling, gets a hold of him and is like, honey, where are you? Oh my God, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, I just had a rough day at the office. And she's like, the fuck, you work in the World Trade Center. Where you been all day? Like, how can you be that out of touch from what happened in the world? Right?
Dude, that was the best analogy I've ever heard.
Wow. Shit.
Do you get what I mean? Like,
no, we get it.
You just have to, at that point...
You got caught telling the worst lie ever.
Yeah, and you just have to, you know what? You're right. I just, I got to go. You're done. All right? You gambled, and you lost big. The only redemption that you had, the only way you can save any sort of face whatsoever is to fall on your sword.
So you're thinking this guy has to voluntarily step down as the commissioner of
there's no other way around it.
This guy is he makes like a gazillion, like $44 million a year.
Is that what he gets?
He should be set for life. He doesn't need
I'm sure he's also got some kind of golden parachute shit in his contracts too, so that even if he sets down, he's still going to make a ton.
I don't know if he walks away. But, I mean, why would he? He's the master of the NFL. Why would the owners want him to walk away? The only way he works for the owners. The only way the owners want him to walk away is if the PR is so bad that people stop coming to the games.
And nobody stopped coming to the games.
Nobody's going to stop coming to the games, man. It's why Adam Silver dropped the hammer so hard on Donald Sterling.
You see the other guy who just got hit on this?
The guy from the Atlanta Hawks.
Yeah.
Don't get me started on that asshole. That guy is looking for an out. Okay? Yeah. He's not actually calling himself a racist. He's just looking for an out. Fuck him. He's a fucking douchebag because the Atlanta Hawks are getting creamed financially. They lost like $30 million last year, even after the revenue sharing payout. And he's losing money and he wants out. And he's looking to make himself a goat. Fuck that guy.
How do you really feel?
Fuck that guy.
We hold our players to the highest standards both as professional athletes and as people, so any violence towards women that is recorded, authenticated, and then publicly distributed will be met with an automatic suspension and fine, said Goodell. Adding to the new stricter guidelines refines the league's hard-line stance against any spousal abuse that is clearly and irrefutably captured on film. I can assure you that any member of this league who strikes a woman in front of a live camera will face swift and heavy consequences. I also want to stress that the utterly reprehensible behavior is something that we in no way will tolerate as long as the footage is completely uninterrupted and the entirety of the assault takes place within frame.
So this is Goodell saying, if I have TMZ video and it's indisputable, that's like the instant replay policy. Where I have to have irrefutable evidence to overturn a call on the field. That's bullshit.
That was reported by The Onion.
Okay.
I thought
I
it'd be a
should
little
have
more.
seen that coming.
I was gonna say I thought that would be a little more obvious, but I guess you guys are. Whoa.
See, now your only response speaker here is to quit the show.
Yep.
Okay. You want me to quit? Let's fold up shop, boys.
We're done.
We're done.
And on that note,
Anyway, but hold on. I did actually. We got to do what we normally do. Is what? How do we fix it? What must be done? What?
According to Gantor, Goodell's got to step down.
Yeah.
What do you think, Z-Man?
I don't think that's going to fix anything. Although it's the same thing as any of these like CEOs. They all say like, oh, yep, my bad. I'll step down after they've already cashed out and made $1 bajillion. They're not going to sound like they're going to live a hard life now. There's no responsibility.
See, I don't know whether or not Goodell should step down. I don't know. I don't know if the transgression is that bad. And I'm hedging on it.
We don't know what he knew and how he knew it, or what, whether there was, is he covering it up? Is there incompetence?
Look, there was incompetence. No matter how you look at this, there was incompetence. Because if the only thing you knew was that Ray Rice was dragging an unconscious woman out of an elevator, that woman was his fiance, and they came in and they told you that they had an encounter, it got physical, and she was knocked unconscious. If you knew that much...
Yeah, but you can get knocked unconscious by slipping on your shoe. He could have pushed her a little bit, slipped on his shoe, and then knocked her head against the wall.
No.
no, you don't.
If that was the case, he wouldn't have suspended him at all.
Yeah.
He had to have known something. He had to have known that they got into an altercation, it got physical, and she got knocked unconscious. If not, there was no rationale for a 2-game suspension at all.
So, the proof is what's happened now. The fact that it went from a 2-game suspension, video comes out, to suspended indefinitely. Clearly, if it was worth suspending indefinitely, it should have been done the first time.
Right. And that suspension was a clear reaction to the fact that that video was overwhelmingly damning.
Yeah.
And frankly, the Baltimore Ravens got to him first, right? The owner of the Ravens turned around and they said, you know what? Now that we've seen that video, we have to cut him.
They should have. They should have been ahead of that game too. They're just as culpable as Goodell in this.
I agree.
In my opinion.
But usually it's the discipline is handed down from the league office. Usually. So as far as that goes, maybe they figured, all right, the situation is handled. Maybe that was the advice they got from the league office. But after seeing the video, they decided, okay, that's it. And if that's the case, if Goodell said, you know what, I got this, I'm giving him the 2 games, that's enough, then... So I guess I kind of agree with Gantor. The level of incompetence shown. You knew something, Roger Goodell. Yeah. You had to have known.
The amount of homework that they do on players and drafting people and who to cut and who to pick up and game plan against, and you can't get security video of an incident between your player and somebody like TMZ can. TMZ is a show on Fox.
It's not even. It's a syndicated show.
Is it?
Yeah. You got to have more resources at your disposal than fucking TMZ.
Yep.
Something must be done about you, Roger Goodell. Get your shit together. And for Ray Rice and his wife Janae, man, I hope you guys sort that shit out. All right, let's wrap this thing up. What did we learn about Ray Rice and the NFL, Z-Man?
If you're a celebrity, you can do whatever you want.
All right, if you're at least a football player in the National Football League, that's for goddamn sure. Gantor.
I think the lesson that we've learned from this incident is don't get recorded on camera. Because clearly, that's the only thing that will punish people.
That was the only thing that'll get the NFL off their ass to fucking do anything about it. What did I learn? I learned that domestic violence is a horrible thing.
You just learned that?
I didn't just learn it. I'm stating it for the goddamn record.
You gotta tell your wife to stop beating you, dude.
Seriously.
Well, you probably deserve it, Spear.
Probably.
If I was intern, I'd punch you too.
She beats you because she loves you.
Yeah, that's great. Trying to wrap this thing up seriously, and just can't do it. Just going to get out of the show. So if you think that Ray Rice didn't get punished enough until they saw the video, or you think that Roger Goodell's a fuck up, why don't you go ahead and let us know on the Facebook page, facebook.com/4listeners or 4listeners.com. You can tweet at us on the Twitters at 4listeners, and you can check out the show on Stitcher Radio or on iTunes. Just search for 4listeners and we'll pop right on up. We thank you for checking us out this week, and we hope that you will check us out again next week. Thanks a bunch, everybody.
What you gonna do? What you gonna